Hi everyone. In the last class, we started looking at pattern matching, and we have to prove the following theorem, which gives three equivalent statements. The first one being that a set A, which is a subset of sigma star, is a regular set. Statement B says that set A is equal to the language that matches to a pattern alpha. And statement C says that in fact set A is a language that matches to a regular expression alpha. Last time we saw that C implies B, which is that if there is a regular expression alpha, then the language matching to it also matches a pattern alpha, which is a simple, just by definition this happens. We also saw that if there is a language matching a pattern alpha, then that language, so this language L alpha, which is equal to A, will be a regular set. We saw this proof, and today we will continue with the proof and finish it by showing that if A is a regular set, then in fact it is a language matching a regular expression alpha. Let's look at some of the consequences of what we studied in the last lecture. The first is looking at an example. So suppose I want to convert the regular expression alpha beta star plus beta star, A B star plus B star A concatenated with A star into a corresponding regular set. Then one way of doing it is look at the regular expression and try to draw a finite automata. In this case, I have drawn an NFA with epsilon transitions. Draw a finite automata that accepts all strings that match to this regular expression. Okay, so look at the language which is matching to this regular expression and then try to draw a finite automata for this particular language. So over here, one way of thinking of this is, look, what does this mean? This means that the strings that are going to match to this set is either going to match to the smaller pattern A, B star. It's either going to match to A, B star, then A. It could match to B star A, B star A star. So I can break the language matching the given pattern into two subsets, where the first subset matches to the pattern A B star A star, and the second subset matches to the language B star A star. Now let's look at A B star A star. So this is basically a set of language. If you recall how a pattern with concatenations match to a language, how we transfer the concatenation operation to the languages matching. So basically this would be the concatenation of language matching A with the language matching B star with the language matching A star. And how can we draw a DFA for that? If you just look at look over here, so if you just look at one part, then you start from here. You are basically matching a language matching A concatenated with language matching B star by going along this loop as many times, and then language matching with A star. With this epsilon transition, I'm creating a loop that is going to accept strings which match to A star. So if I just wanted to match A B star A star, look at the upper part, the highlighted part of the NFA, and that is going to accept all strings matching to A B star A star. Now let's look at B star A star. So then suppose B star was in fact I can edit this as saying that it is B star A star, because if there was no B, then that is going to be covered in the first part. So notice that if there was no B, if it was just if it was just A star, then that is already covered in the first set. When B star is when I choose the epsilon string from B star, from the language from the language matching B star. So in fact, the second part we can rewrite as B star concatenated with A star. Again, this means that I'm looking for a language which can be broken into a concatenation of languages, where the first is language matching B concatenated with language matching B star, concatenated with language matching A, concatenated with language matching A star. So then, yeah, I think I have made one mistake. So let me. Yeah, I think now it's fine. Okay, so let's look at this. So if I wanted to add to the NFA to be able to accept this string, so notice the second part. I start, and then when I read B, I go over here. Then I loop for B star. Then I see an A, and then I go take this A path and then loop for A star, right? And if you notice that the like verify that the final states are correct. So verify that this NFA is correct, but this is a way of building things. This is a way of expressing the language of this regular expression in terms of an NFA or a DFA. So basically break the regular expression into simpler parts. So over here we broke this regular expression into two parts by breaking the language matching the regular expression into two parts, and then basically it is the language matching this union the language matching this, and therefore we build a DFA for this language and this language, and we know how to, if I am using epsilon transitions, we know an easy way of drawing a NFA with epsilon transitions for showing closure of regular sets over the union operator. Now that just means, so this is a compact version, but there are many ways of drawing this NFA with epsilon transition. Now we draw an NFA for the first language, and then for the second language, and then using epsilon transitions I can draw an NFA with epsilon transitions for the entire language. And what were we doing for each of these sub languages? The first one is now just concatenation of languages. Concatenation of languages matching to very simple patterns. The first is A, the second is B star, the third is A star. And we know how to, and we draw, so the language, so the strings in the language basically come from L of A concatenated with L of B star concatenated with L of A whole star. And therefore now it becomes easier to draw the DFA for this particular language, and similarly the DFA for this particular language. This is a more compact version of the NFA with epsilon transition, but you can do it any way you like. From whatever you have learned, I'm sure you can draw an NFA with epsilon transitions that accepts the same language as the language that is being matched to this particular regular expression. Okay, now suppose I give you the following language: a to the n, b to the n, such that n is greater than equal to 0. So this is a set of strings over when sigma is a comma b. Is this so? A natural question is to ask whether this set of strings is a regular set. And one way of seeing is, if I can show that there is a pattern or a regular expression for this set, then I can show that this is a regular set, because from the theorem statement B implies statement A. Notice that right now this is not a pattern, because we have these curly bracket symbols, we have this such that symbol, we have greater than equal to, we have an n from somewhere. Right, so this is not a pattern yet. Now, it is definitely not a regular expression. Neither is it a pattern. And eventually, you will see that after we finish the lectures on pattern matching, you will see that actually no pattern exists, because this is not a regular set. So this will lead to, this is an example language that is an answer to question 2. So if I gave you this language, this set of strings a to the n, b to the n, such that n is greater than equal to 0, it is possible to answer that this is not a regular set and that this does not have a pattern or a regular expression. So the remaining questions are question 1 and question 3. So question 1 was, if I give you a string and a pattern, how will you match it? Notice that now we can answer this. Because of the consequences of statement B implying statement A from the theorem, we know that look at the given pattern. From the given pattern, look at the language that is matching to this pattern. In the example, we saw a way of expressing that language in terms of a DFA, because we know that because B implies A, that language is a regular set. Because B implies A, the language matching this given pattern, let's call it alpha, this language is a regular set. And we, from the first example, we saw a way of expressing this pattern in terms of a finite automata. Could be an NFA with epsilon transitions. Now, if I want to see whether a given string matches to this pattern, all I need to check is whether the string is being accepted by the finite automaton or not. So now this is, once I am able to draw the finite automaton, it is a polynomial time algorithm to check whether this string is being accepted by the finite automaton or not. And this answers the question 1. So what remains to be answered, of course, question 2 remains to be answered fully. We saw some intuition of why such patterns exist. I have also given you an example of a set which I am claiming will not have a pattern or a regular expression and will not be a regular set. And I'm claiming this because at some point you're going to see tools that can be used to show such results. But question 3 also remains. Question 3 was about equivalence of patterns. If I give you two patterns, can you check whether the languages matching to each of the language matching to each of the patterns is the same? But before going to question 3, we will finish the proof of the theorem, where we have to show that statement A implies C. And after that, we'll go to question 3. Okay, so A implies C. Statement A was that A is a regular set, and statement C was that A must be a language, or statement C says that A is a language that is matching to a regular expression alpha. And what we are going to show is that if A is a regular set, this implies that A must match a regular expression alpha. So here is the proof. So suppose I have an NFA M with the following structure: Q, sigma, delta, SF. We will be defining an equivalent regular expression for LM. So the aim is that if I give you a subset X of Q, a subset of states X of Q and states U and V, we want to find a regular expression alpha X U V, which is the regular expression. If you look at the set of strings that is matching to this regular expression, it should be exactly the strings X that have a path from U to V with every internal vertex belonging to X. Okay, so what does this mean? You take a vertex U, you take a state U and a state V, and you have a set of states X. Now, it is possible that U and V may belong to this X. I am not saying that they have to be disjoint, but definitely if you look at any string X, so if you look at any path labeled by X, if you're looking at a string X, basically in the transition diagram, that means that I'm looking at a labeled path or a path labeled by X. So now if you look at any such path between U and V that is labeled by X, so sorry. So if you look at any path, anything that is labeled by X and that goes through where every internal vertex is in X, then all such possible strings X and all such paths that are going from U to V through only states in X, exactly this set of strings will match to the regular expression alpha X UV. So look at the set of strings X, look at the paths corresponding to this to such a string X, which starts at state U, ends at state V, and all internal states are in X. Then this set of strings will match to alpha X UV. So what can we conclude from this aim? The implication of proving this aim is that if we did this for all UV, all states UV and all subsets X, then if we take this particular compound pattern, summation over all start states, summation over all final states, alpha SFQ, then this would be a regular expression for alpha SFQ is a regular expression, because if we have proven the aim, then the summation over this is going to be a regular expression for all strings in the language M, in the language accepted by M, and then we will be done. Why? Because if a string is being accepted by M, then there must be a path labeled by that string starting from a start state in capital S and ending at a final state in capital F. So such a path must be matched to, so let's say start state small s, starting at start state small s and ending at ending at final state small f. So such a path X starting at small s and ending at small f must match to this regular expression alpha, let's say Q SF. Okay, and therefore that must have matched to this particular regular expression. So if we prove the aim, then we will be done with obtaining a regular expression alpha, which is of this form, for the language L of M, so language accepted by M. So therefore now our aim is to prove this, that you give me a subset of states and a start and finishing, you give me a subset of states and any states U and V, any pair of states U and V, and I want to build a regular expression which matches to all possible strings which have paths labeled by that string starting at U, ending at V, and with all internal vertices in X. So this is the aim. This is what remains of the proof. Now we are going to be proving this by induction on the size of X. So the base case is when X is empty. Now I am given this U and V If u is not equal to v, then this alpha empty uv is going to be sum over all elements in sigma. So suppose sigma had a1 a2 till ak, then this would just be a1 plus a2 plus dot 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 ak. And otherwise, if if sigma itself is empty, is null, is the null set, then there are no such paths from u to v, and therefore the regular expression is going to be the null set. Now the next thing is, if u is equal to v, then what is this regular expression going to be? If u is equal to v, then notice that loops are also allowed. So if u is equal to v, then for the same alphabet, so let's say alphabet a1 a2 and so on ak, the same loop is allowed, also like epsilon is allowed. So now the expression becomes sum over all the elements in sigma and also over epsilon. So all possible labeled loops are allowed, plus staying in the same state without reading any input is also allowed. And if sigma is the null set, then notice that I can stay in the same state. So epsilon is allowed. So epsilon is the atomic pattern which is equal to alpha empty uv. So this takes case of the base cases when you don't have any internal vertices. Either if u is not equal to v, you have a direct edge from uv. So if you have a direct edge from uv, in the first case you have u and v, and you have a direct edge. Now if sigma is non-empty, then you can have all possible labelings on from symbols of sigma on this edge, and therefore it will be sum over all the elements. And if sigma is empty, you cannot have such an edge, and therefore this will be you're not allowed to go anywhere without reading a symbol, and therefore this will not be the pattern, the regular expression will be set to empty, will be set to null. If u is equal to v, then you have a loop, and therefore you are allowed to read input alphabets, or you are allowed to stay at the same state. So without reading any input, you are just staying at the same state, and therefore the alpha uv empty is going to be matched to either the sum over all elements of sigma plus epsilon or epsilon itself. Now we are going to give a inductive definition of alpha x uv. So take some q in x, and this is going to be the inductive definition. So what do we know about the paths from paths labeled with, let's say, some string x from u to v with internal vertices in capital X? We know that either either q is not an internal vertex, in which case it goes from u to and takes states in x minus q and then goes to v, in which case inductively that is going to be the regular expression alpha uv, where internal states are x minus q. These are the paths which are not taking q as an internal vertex. Or the other way is paths which are taking q as an internal vertex, in which case they can be divided into subpaths, where first I reach from u to q, then I take different paths from q to q itself, and then from q I go to v. This can be expressed as first a regular expression alpha from u to q, which is not taking q as an internal vertex. Then from Q to Q, again not taking internal vertex, Q as an internal vertex, and I can loop as many times, therefore the star, and then finally from Q to V without taking Q as an internal vertex. So this is an expression for these kinds of paths, where I first go from U to Q without having Q as an internal vertex, loop or take paths from Q back to Q without using Q as an internal vertex in those subpaths. I can take many such paths, therefore the star over here, and then finally go from Q to V without taking Q as an internal vertex. So there are, if you look at strings that are matching to this alpha UVX, then the strings are of two forms. Strings where corresponding paths from U to V labeled by these strings either do not take Q as an internal vertex or they take Q as an internal vertex, and this is the form in which we can break the corresponding paths into subpaths with respect to Q. Now, if I put these two things, how do these strings match? I have to take the union of these two, of the languages matching to the first regular expression and the second regular expression. And the regular expression for that is just adding a plus in between them. So alpha x uv is actually, is still a regular expression for u, v and subset x. So notice that x minus q is strictly smaller than x, and therefore this alpha uv x minus q, alpha u q x minus q, alpha q q x minus q and alpha q v x minus q, these are all regular expressions. Therefore this entire right hand side is a regular expression, and therefore the left hand side is a regular expression. Yeah, so I think I have explained this, that by using induction hypothesis on the size of x, the right hand side combines to form a regular expression, and therefore we have a regular expression for all strings that have paths starting at u, ending at v, labeled by that string and using states in x as internal states. So we are done with proving the aim, and therefore we are done with obtaining, the implication was that once we prove the aim, we will have obtained a regular expression for all strings that are accepted by the NFA M. And therefore with the proof of A implying C, we are done with proving the theorem, and therefore we have shown that A is a regular set if and only if A matches, the set A matches a regular expression alpha. Languages which match a pattern alpha or a regular expression alpha are in fact regular sets. So let's look at an example. So we have seen DFAs. We have seen a DFA for binary strings whose decimal numbers are divisible by 3. So this is the DFA we had seen in a previous lecture, where each state represented, so the first state, the start state represented 0 mod 3, first state represented 1 mod 3, and the second state represented 2 mod 3. And this was the transition diagram we obtained for the DFA. Now, can we derive a regular expression similar in a similar way as the proof for A implies C for the theorem? So notice that so this is state 0. This is state 0. This is state 0. This is state 1, and this is state 2. Now notice that any path from 0 is the start state and end state. Now if I want to express all possible strings that are accepted by this DFA, I basically have to find out I basically have to find out alpha 0, 0, 0, alpha 0, 0 where the internal vertices are all states in Q. And this can be thought of as if I just threw out the first state, if I threw out state 1, then I can think of it as this as breaking down to alpha 0, 0, where I'm using internal states only 0 and 2, then plus alpha 0, 1 with internal states 0, 2, then alpha 1, 1 internal states 0, 2 star, and alpha 1, 0 internal states 0, 2. So what remains is to show these sub regular expressions, how to express them. Now if I look at alpha 0, 0 with internal states 0, 2, then notice that the only way I can look at a path which does not use 1 as an internal state, and that comes back to 0. Notice that if I do not use 1 as an internal state, I can never go to 2. I can never go to 2. So therefore, alpha 0, 0 will only be consisting, so all strings that match to alpha 0, 0, 0, 2 will only be strings that only take this loop, and therefore it will be 0 star. Now similarly, alpha 0, 1, 0, 2, this is going to be 0 star 1. Alpha 1, 1, 0, 2 is going to be 0, 1 star 0 plus 1, 0 star 1. Alpha 1, 0, 0, comma 2 is going to be 1, 0 star. And therefore, this expression will come out to be 0 star plus 0 star 1, 0, 1 star 0 plus 1, 0 star 1 whole star 0, 1 star. So please check this portion. Please check from the transition diagram that this is in fact what happens. And therefore, using the transition diagram over here, we have been able to find a regular expression for this corresponding to this DFA for binary strings divisible by 3. So now notice that this expression, this 0 star plus etc., this is a very cumbersome expression. We had such a nice diagram for the DFA, but the regular expression does not look very nice. So then can we get a simpler expression? So we come back to question 3, where we were asking for an equivalent expression that is simpler. So the equivalence, as you all know, is a relation which is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. And if two expressions are equivalent, then one can be substituted by the other. So what do I mean by, as recall that the meaning of equivalence was, look at two patterns. The equivalence was based on the languages matching these two patterns. So suppose alpha was matching to beta, then it meant that, so if alpha was equivalent to beta, then it meant that L alpha is equal to L beta. Okay, so yeah, and if these two expressions, suppose alpha and beta are equivalent, then wherever alpha appears, suppose alpha appears as a sub pattern in a larger pattern, then instead of alpha I can always substitute that with beta. Of course this requires a proof, but you can try to prove it on your own, or intuitively it seems like a reasonable thing to do. Now, question 3 was asking whether we can find out whether two given patterns are equivalent or not. So in fact, this is an NP-hard problem. Finding out whether two patterns are equivalent or not is an NP-hard problem. But there are some laws using which you can simplify given patterns. So these laws are not going to lead to the simplest pattern. So if you are looking, they are not going to always give you an answer for question 3, but they can be used in certain cases. If the patterns have some extra additional structure, in those cases, these laws can help in simplifying the two patterns and showing that they are equivalent. So these laws are useful to solve certain cases, but the actual question of taking two patterns as input and finding out whether they are equivalent or not is an NP-hard problem. So here are the laws. So this says that alpha plus beta plus gamma is equivalent to alpha plus beta plus gamma, and alpha plus beta is equivalent to beta plus alpha. So please verify these things in terms of by using set theory, because all these things, the equivalence means that you have to verify whether the two languages are the same or not. So please verify these things. Alpha plus null is equivalent to alpha. Alpha plus alpha is equivalent to alpha. Alpha concatenated with beta concatenated with gamma is equivalent to alpha concatenated with beta whole concatenated with gamma. Then epsilon concatenated with alpha is equivalent to alpha concatenated with epsilon equivalent to alpha. Alpha concatenated with beta plus gamma is equivalent to alpha concatenated with beta plus alpha concatenated with gamma. All these are very easy set theoretic proofs where you just see what is from definitions, you see what are the languages of the pattern on the left hand side and pattern on the right hand side, and check that the languages match. Then you have alpha plus beta whole catenated with gamma is equivalent to alpha concatenated with gamma plus beta concatenated with gamma. And then null concatenated with alpha is equivalent to alpha concatenated with null equivalent to null itself. Again, all these follow from the definitions. Epsilon plus alpha concatenated with alpha star is equivalent to alpha star is equivalent to epsilon plus alpha star concatenated with alpha. Now there are some more laws, but before that you need to know the following notation. For two patterns alpha and beta, alpha is said to be less than equal to beta if the language matching alpha is a subset of the language matching beta. So basically this is equivalent to saying that the language matching alpha plus beta is equal to the language matching beta, or that alpha plus beta is equivalent to beta. Okay, so if language matching alpha is a subset of language matching beta, then notice that the language matching alpha plus beta is going to be language matching alpha. If you recall the definition, this is just going to be language matching alpha union language matching beta. And since language matching alpha is subset of language matching beta, this is basically equal to language matching beta. And therefore we can say that alpha plus beta is equivalent to beta. So this is a notation. Alpha plus beta is alpha less than equal to beta is a notation for is an equivalent notation for alpha plus beta equivalent to beta. And now we can say that beta plus alpha concatenated with gamma is less than equal to gamma, implies that alpha star beta is less than equal to gamma. Again, please show set theoretically. Beta plus gamma concatenated with alpha less than equal to gamma implies that beta concatenated with alpha star is less than equal to gamma. Here are some other equations that you can derive. I have given some hints for how to prove these equations. All of them more or less you have to prove set theoretically. Maybe you have to break up some sets and then prove that each set is contained. So maybe you have to break up the sets. The entire set on the corresponding to the right hand side may have to be broken up into different subsets, and then you show that each of these subsets are contained in the set of the left hand side. Similarly, break down the set on the left hand side into subsets and show that all these things are contained in the set corresponding to the right hand side. This is more or less how you can prove these things. I have also given you some hints, but here are the equations. Alpha concatenated with beta star alpha is equivalent to alpha concatenated with beta concat alpha whole star. Alpha star beta whole star alpha star is equivalent to alpha plus beta whole star. This you can prove set theoretically. Alpha star with concatenated with whole of beta alpha star whole star is equivalent to alpha plus beta star. I have a hint for you to prove this. Epsilon plus alpha whole star is equivalent to alpha star. Alpha concatenated with alpha star is equivalent to alpha star concatenated with alpha. Okay. Yeah. So these are the equations and laws of simplification that you can use to given a particular regular expression, you may use these things to simplify. So let's look at an example. So suppose you are given this particular regular expression 1 plus 0 1 plus 0 0 1 whole star concatenated with epsilon plus 0 plus 0 0. This is equivalent to, by using laws of simplification, this can be written as, this 1 can be written as 1 is equivalent to epsilon into 1. So I have rewritten 1 as epsilon into 1, epsilon concat 1, and then taken the ones common to, so for the first part, I can rewrite it as epsilon plus 0 plus 0 0 whole concatenated with 1. Okay, by replacing 1 by replacing 1 with epsilon concat 1, we can get the first expression to be written as epsilon plus 0 plus 0 0 whole concatenated with 1. And now if I look at the second part, now this 0 I have rewritten as 0 plus 0. Alpha, by laws of simplification, alpha is equivalent to alpha plus alpha, and therefore this 0 has been rewritten as 0 plus 0. So this epsilon plus 0 plus 0 0 has been rewritten as epsilon plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 0. So now let's see. So the first part now can be rewritten as epsilon plus 0 in concat with epsilon plus 0 into 1, concat with 1. Okay. And the second expression can be written as epsilon plus 0 concat with epsilon plus 0. So again, how did I get this first expression? This 0 I can again rewrite as 0 plus 0. So this particular 0 I can again write as 0 plus 0. And then you will notice that this entire thing becomes epsilon plus 0 concat with epsilon plus 0, and then this 1 comes down to be concatenated at the end. So similarly, epsilon plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 0 can be rewritten as epsilon plus 0 concat with epsilon plus 0. And now notice that if I look at this particular if I look at this particular expression, then this makes much more sense than this, gives a lot more structure to the strings than the starting expression. So this particular expression is defining a set of strings. This expression is defining a set of strings that do not have more than 2 consecutive zeros in any substring. So if you get a consecutive 0 anywhere, you are breaking it with a 1. Okay, so in the beginning, you have epsilon plus 0 and epsilon plus 0. So from here, the string matching to this could get at most 2 zeros, after which it must match to this 1. And at the end, you can have at most two consecutive zeros. The string matching to this pattern can end with at most 2 consecutive zeros. So therefore, this is a set of strings that where each string cannot have more than 2 consecutive zeros in any substring. So this particular simplification gave much more structure to this pattern, and therefore we were able to derive a common property of the regular set corresponding to this regular expression. We will be in the tutorials. We will be seeing more examples of how to use simplifications. You can also try these things. There are lots of exercises in the book, at the back of the book, for trying out simplifications using the laws of simplification as well as the derived theorems. So for pattern matching, this will conclude the section on pattern matching. So what we learned is, we learned a second method other than representation by finite automata. We learned a second method for representing regular sets. So any language that is accepted by finite automata can also be expressed as a pattern. In fact, they can be expressed as regular expressions. And we also saw, because of the entire proof of the theorem, we saw that if look at languages which are matching to regular look at a language that is matching to a regular expression, such a language is a regular set. So such a language will have a deterministic finite automata accepting it, a non-deterministic finite automata accepting it, as well as a non-deterministic finite automata with epsilon transitions accepting it. So we saw two ways of finitely expressing regular sets. The first one was the first few lectures where we looked at how where we saw the different equivalent definitions of finite automata, and we know that finite automata accept regular sets. And then we saw that in fact regular sets are also sets which match to regular expressions. So we know that every finite automaton has a equivalent regular expression. We also answered a few more questions. We saw that if I have a pattern, how do I check whether a string matches that pattern or not? So the route is, if I have a pattern, look at the regular set matching this pattern. If I have a pattern, first convert it into a regular expression. Look at the regular set matching this regular expression. Now, for this regular set, I know that I have a finite automaton. I have a DFA, I have an NFA, I have an NFA with epsilon transitions. All these are equivalent, so I have each of them. Now, let's take the DFA and for the given string, check whether the DFA accepts the string or not. Then we tried to ask the natural question of whether given a set of strings, whether we can find a pattern matching this string or not. In other words, now that we know more, is every set of strings a regular set? And in subsequent lectures, you're going to see that every language is not a regular set. There are languages, we saw an example, I gave a hint of an example, the set of strings a to the n, b to the n, where n is greater than equal to 0. This, you will see, is not a regular set. Thirdly, we saw some rules to simplify patterns. So if I'm given a pattern, we saw rules to simplify the pattern. But the question was, if there are two patterns, can we check whether they are equivalent or not? In other words, do they match to the same language or not. And this is a NP-hard problem. So this is not possible to answer in general, but if you give me two specific patterns, it may be possible by using simplification rules and the other theorems that we saw for simplification to show that these two patterns match the same language. For specific cases, for specific pairs of patterns, we may be able to show it. But in general, if you're taking two patterns as input for the problem, then that problem is NP-hard. And fourthly, we ask the question of whether there are some symbols for the definition of pattern which are redundant or not. And in fact, we saw that there are many of the symbols which are redundant, can be expressed in terms of other symbols from the set of symbols sigma dagger. And this led to the definition of regular expressions, which was very useful in the proof of the theorem that showed that regular expressions are equivalent to the languages matching to regular expressions are equivalent to regular sets. Okay, that closes the section on pattern matching. Thank you very much.